Welcome to my Tennessee kitchen, and today we're going to do more or less a copycat recipe, and it's going to be for the crunch wrap that they make at Taco Bell. And mine's not going to be exactly like that. I will tell you a couple of things that I do a little differently on mine, but we're going to start off, and you've got to have the very large. Oop, I did miss something on mine. Try it again. The crunch wrap, I thought I would get the crunch part. Welcome to my Tennessee kitchen, and today we're going to be making like a copycat recipe, and it's going to be the copycat recipe for the crunch wrap that they have at Taco Bell. And there's several things you're going to need, and I will go over them as we use them too, but I want to tell you what they are to start with. And that is the very large flour tortillas, and then you're going to need some crunchy tostada chips. Here's what I've got to go in it. Sour cream, shredded cheese, and it can be your cheese of choice, and I just happen to have mild cheddar. You're going to need some ground beef that's been cooked, jalapeno peppers. I got one chopped Roma tomato here, some taco seasoning, and some cheese sauce here. And the reason I've got the jalapeno peppers chopped is to go with my cheese, because the recipe usually calls for it to be nacho cheese, which always has a little jalapeno taste to it. And I just ended up using a couple of mine out of the canned jalapeno peppers. So let's get started making them. The first thing I'm going to do is, so that they will stay sealed when I turn them over in the skillet, I'm going to use my kitchen scissors here, and I'm going to cut up one of the tortillas. I'm going to quarter it, even though I'm only going to make two today for my husband and I and all. But anyway, we're going to have those. Going to start off with the one large tortilla here, and you've got to have something that kind of goes to the bottom to make it stick to your, your ground beef, so it didn't fall out. Your chopped tomatoes, so they don't fall out. So that's where you start off with the nacho cheese. And as I said, I had to use jalapeno peppers I had here, and I'm just going to put a little in of the cheese sauce in this little cup here and mix it good with my jalapeno peppers. And we'll put that to the side. And since I'm going to be making two, I'm just going to use about half. And as you can see my little jalapenos chopped up there. So we're going to put about half of that in the middle of our flour tortilla. Save the other half for the other one. And as you can see, I kind of got it in the middle here. And we're going to need to add a little bit of taco seasoning, or you can actually use just chili powder if you'd rather, but I just have part of a taco package of seasoning here that I haven't used, and I'm going to sprinkle it in with my cooked ground beef. And I cooked about 1/4 pound of the ground beef for just the two. And I've coated it real good by mixing it like that. So this is what's going to help it stick. I'm going to put about half of that meat and seasoning in this one. And you can crush your ground beef up a lot finer than I did on that one if you want to. Next, we got to add that crunchy part to it. So I hope I can get it out without breaking them up. Sometimes you can't get them out of the pack when it's so tight. I believe I can. It's very crispy. I'm going to put that on top of that. Now we're going to need something to make that, like I said, the tomato stick. And so we're going to get some sour cream. Also, the bottom layer or even this layer, you could have used chopped lettuce, but I didn't have any here today, and it kind of gets wilted anyway when you fry it. So the original recipe, you would actually have the lettuce on there too. But I've got a good helping of that, as you can see on my tostada there. I'm going to use about half of the tomatoes, and since I've already used this spoon, but it's okay because I'm going to use all these little tomatoes on this. I'm going to put about half of that Roma tomato on there. And then I'm going to sprinkle it with cheese. And like I said, mine is mild cheddar. Of course, you could use any kind of cheese that you like. And I'll put that on there and kind of mash it down just a little bit. So hopefully that'll help it get some of that sour cream on there to stick it. And this is where you come in then with your piece of tortilla that you cut. And then you're just going to fold it over and let it cross over like in layers. And I've got mine pretty full because it's just barely going to do it to get it stuffed. And it doesn't have to be real pretty on the top. But the main thing is you've got that little hole sealed with that other tortilla. So I'm just going to, I think I'm going to turn it over so I can make the other one at the same time and get those done and then cooking. And you're just going to use a little bit of cooking oil in the skillet, just enough so you can get them where they'll brown. And you don't have to let them heat very long. You just want them to be brown. So you can cook them really fast, but they will burn fast if you do. So I'd say use it probably on medium to high heat, because all you're going to do is just brown it. Everything else is already cooked for you. So now let's get the rest of this cheese in the middle of this one. And I should have ended up putting it down flat on something instead of letting this, let's see, get it a little bit more flat. So yeah, so it doesn't come off. And we're going to get that ground beef on there now. And if you use about a pound of ground beef, they say, then you'll should be able to make you at least 4 good of these, maybe a little bit more. And I think I used like a quarter pound. And I didn't use all my taco seasoning. I just had a little bit too much I put in there, really. And see if we can get some more crunchy here. And it came out pretty good too. Spread on the sour cream. And like I said, I am just making 2 is all I'm making today, just for me and my husband, because they do get a little soggy, the crunchy part, if you make them ahead of time and don't use them. I think you could still eat them, but you know, I like mine to have that crunch taste. That's the reason they call it Crunchwrap instead of having it soggy. So I only make 2 at a time, 1 for him and 1 for me for lunch. And now that we've got that, we're going to get these tomatoes put on here. little more cheese for this one. Piece has been cut to seal it in the middle, and then you're just going to start folding it. And you can make the folds real tight, or you can make them real loose, just how you want. It's no rhyme or reason to the size the folds have to be. Of course, we're going to start with frying them face down, so that will kind of seal it a little bit more and everything. So, got the second one done here, and I'm going to get a little bit of cooking oil heating in my skillet. And as you can see, they will come apart if you don't hold them down tight to start with, or turn them over. I'm going to go ahead and turn this one over too. And I'll get these cooking oil ready and put them in the skillet just a minute, and I'll be back.